God damn, what a show that was. Huh, wow. No, man, I just wanted to say there's something about... There's so much of the world that people don't experience. Don't get to experience. There's so much difference that we can't even imagine. It's because it's subtle. Because it's... some of it is obvious at first sight. There's... when I went to Vietnam, when I lived in Vietnam, what was most surprising to me was how similar everything was. How, I never lived in another country. I'd hardly ever traveled to other countries. And definitely not, mostly the Western countries before that. And when I went to Vietnam, I kept looking for, this is going to be, and people kept telling me, my mom, when I told her I was going to go, she looked at me real serious in the eye, and she brought me close, and maybe she didn't bring me close, I'm exaggerating, and she told me straight in the eye, are you sure you want to go? I mean, it's a communist country. And I didn't know whether to take her seriously. I didn't. I brushed it off. But part of me wondered, right? Part of me just knew that I knew nothing. And that it probably would not be that different, but that I should expect that it would be. I should prepare myself for. And there were differences. There were things that people were traditional with and just had different attitudes about. But the core things, that's human. There's a lot that humans. There's way more that we have in common. If traveling has taught me anything, it's just it's no comparison. It's all the things that you imagine are going to be important, like, there's a communist government, there's a military dictatorship. When it comes to the people themselves, and let's be clear here, I haven't lived in a war zone. I haven't experienced how people react to war, or to famine, or to any extreme, physical danger en masse. But that aside, there's all those things that people make a huge deal of in the news, in the, and that we seem to think those things are going to be important when you get there, when you actually meet those people, and they're not. They might. It's kind of like it's the same with people in your own country whose views you don't share, whose lives you don't share. Do you really think... you probably have more in common with a city dweller in Hanoi than with a farmer in Canada. In many ways, attitudes and the priorities, if you're a teenager, if you're at school, if you're heading for university, things aren't that different. They really aren't. And all those things about, they're communists and they're very different, they don't come up. But that aside, there are a lot of dimensions of culture that this society, Western society, does not seems to have, for better or for worse, both actually, for better and for worse, it has not, integrated different aspects of societies that you might find in other places. We say we live in a multicultural society, maybe so, but those cultures, the way they blend, is a lot gets lost. Unfortunately, a lot gets imperceptible. At least especially if people really try to integrate, or especially if you don't expose yourself in your own country, let alone in other countries, to, groups of people that aren't like you. Whether that's age-wise, whether that's profession-wise, whether that's, nationality and heritage-wise. There's so many ways in which people can be different. There's tons of ways, and there's parts that this culture has done a good job of eradicating. For all the damage that religions and crusades and dogma has done to cultures in the past, there's something very lacking in it's hard to have your cake and eat it, because there's parts of religion that create culture that is so unified, in a sense, that is so potent in its resilience and its strength together, that a culture like the one we're dealing with, let's not kid ourselves, we have a lot that easily comes up and makes us hate each other. We're very vulnerable from the inside. We might have the most powerful, the US anyways, might have the most powerful military, but what use is that when we're breaking from the inside? And a lot of that has to do with, parts of what development is missing. The whole prescription for development via education, via markets, via institutions, via all those tools that, international developers or policy people will prescribe to countries that are third world countries, so-called. They neglect a lot in terms of how human brains work, and how human brains work in conjunction with each other and at scale. And I saw that very clearly tonight. There's it's not just, most of the world is way more still way more outgoing and way more human, it seems, than this very specific part of the world. There's parts that we're missing here that come out during music, that come out during dance, that come out when we get exposed to people totally different from us, who vibe with us, who jive with us. When we jive with them, we reconnect with parts of ourselves that are latent, that are lost, that are there. And I think the more you can do that in your life, the more you can realize how narrow your life has been and likely still is. And in the grand scheme of things, it might have broadened out a lot lately. You might have gotten yourself a nice little girlfriend, a boyfriend. You might be getting a house. You're moving up the ladder. You're getting your degree. Everything seems to be expanding. But in the grand scheme of things, how much more potent of a human being are you? How much more are you able to channel your humanity? Whether that's through dance and music and art, whether that's through, sport, whether that's through cooperation. The things that make us, machines can do productivity. There's a lot of things machines can't get to. And those things that are harder to pin down, those things that are more, less definable, that can't be put in a box as easily, they're really symbols of people who can't be put in a box as easily, who have realized more than most what it can be, what it can mean to be a realized human being. And so wherever you go, whatever you're doing, just realize the world is really big. The world is a lot bigger than we think it is. And expose yourself to that Trump supporter, to that that's neoliberalists, to that, snowflakes, and then go beyond the politics, go to different types of music, different types of art, be, and it goes way deeper than that, believe me. These are just tastes of how different things that seem similar can be, what they can lead to, and how different the difference in what's your life right now can lead you to, compared to a life spent with a lot more, with people from many more walks of life, with places with different heritages. That's all I want to say. Get yourself out there and listen. Stop. Just listen at first. Just watch and listen and soak it in more than is comfortable, more than you think is necessary. Because trust me, a lot more is necessary than you think.